Well, I have a quick question
Sure.
for you. I'm watching all of this as just an average American who loves Israel, but how do we say Hamas must be destroyed, and then we agree to a transfer of 3 of their people for 1 of Israel's people? And last week they said one of the people transferred was one of the leaders of Hamas. I mean, what's the thought process behind that?
Well, it's the value that Israelis put on life, and in the Jewish tradition, if you save 1 life, it's like you're saving the entire world. So the current leader of Hamas was released years ago. He spent 20 years in Israeli jail for killing 4 Palestinians. And the reason he killed them is they were collaborators with Israel. They wanted peace. And so he killed them, he murdered them, and he went to jail. He was released 1,000 Palestinian prisoners, and he was one of the 1,000, was released in exchange for 1 Israeli soldier.
Wow.
Who was kidnapped and taken to Gaza. So it's been a long-standing principle in Israel. We want to do everything we can to save life.
I respect that. It's just hard to see where the end game in that lands.
Well, it's hard for me to see the end game just because of the incredible doublespeak that somehow Israel is a colonizer, that it's some kind of European power that drove the Arabs out of their land, and that, you know, it's an apartheid state. And I'm going, are you kidding? All of that ignores clear facts on the ground. You go back to 1948 and huge populations of Jews in Egypt and Iraq and Syria and Iran and Morocco. And after the formation of the State of Israel, it became illegal in those countries to be Jewish. They were all expelled and forced to become refugees. Where did they go? They went to Israel, and they prospered there. The Arabs continually ignore. They were the ones that told fellow Arabs to leave Israel, that they were getting ready to attack. So it's this doublespeak. And if you're Jewish, the Jewish population of Gaza is 0, because if you live there, you're going to be killed. There's signs up in Ramallah. There are signs up in the West Bank. If you're an Israeli citizen, don't cross this border. We can't protect you anymore. Your life is at risk. So you look at, well, there's an Arab population in Israel, but there's no Jewish population in the Palestinian-controlled. Who's the apartheid state?
Yes, yes.
You know, who is the excluder? And it's just amazing to me that this anti-Israel, and I've got to call it for how I see it, anti-Semitic ideology seems to be taking over the whole world. And we, as Christians, please stand against it, and please get educated on the history, so that when you hear these slogans from the river to the sea, when you hear apartheid, where you hear colonizer, where you hear all of these slogans being repeated and repeated, you're able to stand up and say, no, that's not the history. Those aren't the facts on the ground. This is not real. This is pure ideological propaganda. It's made up, and it's trying to revise history to fit a particular narrative, and that narrative is the destruction of the Jews. Please stand against it. Please let your voice be heard. We need it now more than ever.